Hello everyone, my name is Faith and welcome to our latest YouTube video. To begin, I would like to present to you our firm. We are Logica, an immigration and corporate law firm with more than 10 years of success helping investors, professionals, and businesses, and even families achieve their immigration goals within the United States. We are proud to be a multilingual and multicultural firm that offers comprehensive assistance in navigating the four main immigration paths, which is investment, talent, family, and work. And our team here at Logica will guide you every step of the way while you pursue your professional and personal aspirations. I would like to formally present our immigration attorney today, Harry Tapias, and CEO and co-founder of Logica. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Faith, it's a pleasure to be here with you and looking forward to going over these H-1B related questions and looking at the possibilities for our clients.
Absolutely, Harry. Thank you so much for joining us and jumping right on into these questions. Harry, what is the purpose of the H-1B visa and how does this differ from other employment-based visas?
All right, so the H-1B visa is designed to be an efficient way for American employers to hire their ideal candidates. They may come from any part of the world. Many times employers will hire people straight out of their local universities. And if they happen to be from a different country, the employer can request an H-1B visa for that employee. And so since there's so many people who are go-getters and wanting to start their career in the United States, many employers will find that these same go-getters that go to these universities end up working for their companies, and H-1B is really designed for them. But there's issues with the H-1B in regard to the lottery. And what happened this year was that there were 781,000 applicants for these 85,000 visas that are issued each year. So it was nearly impossible for an employer to get the person that they want to come work for their company. So we have to start looking at alternatives and how to get around that problem.
And I do understand that with the H-1B visa, it is valid up to 3 years with a possibility of another 3-year extension. However, there are many candidates who would like to pursue permanent residency. So are there any pathways to permanent residency available to individuals that hold an H-1B visa? And what are some of these alternatives?
Okay, so for those who are lucky to have the H-1B either this year or for years past, they should really start preparing for the permanent residency through two ideal paths, and they would be either the permanent labor certification, which is what the employer can by themselves apply for. The permanent labor certification means that the employer wants to permanently provide a job to this person, and then we're essentially asking the Department of Labor permission to give this job to this person who happens to be from a different country in lieu of an American, because the employer is able to demonstrate that there wasn't someone in the marketplace to fill that role. So in a way, the government is saying, okay, you may employ this person permanently at your company because it's only going to benefit the economy since there was no American who was available for the job. So that would be path number one, the permanent labor certification. The second way does not depend on an employer. It's totally based on the candidate's merits by him or herself. So imagine an H-1B employee who has a master's degree or an advanced degree, and then he or she wants to get the green card through themselves because sometimes the employer is not ready to file a permanent labor certification. If that person has that advanced degree, like a master's degree, and has a plan or endeavor that could be of national interest, we could prepare a path to green card by applying those two things, showing the government that the person has a master's degree, and second, that they have this idea that will help the economy or will help a certain sector of the industry.
Wonderful, Harry. Thank you so much. And I know with every visa comes criteria that you have to meet and requirements. So what is the eligibility criteria that H-1B visa holders need to fulfill to be considered for a green card?
Okay, so for the eligibility for the green card, it really depends on the path. So which path do we want to go with, Faith? Do you want to talk about NIW or are we going to talk about permanent labor certification?
Let's start with permanent labor certification.
Okay, so first off, to be eligible for a green card, the person has had to, never made any errors in the United States, like, crimes. So that's basic, number one, right? Number two, the person who has the H-1B could request the employer to help them get the green card by showing that that there aren't enough people in the market to fill that role. So let's presume that there's a young man named Mr. Patel. He's an engineer, and he's been working on H-1B for a few years. The employer is interested in helping him get a green card. So what the employer will do is that they will start this recruitment process. And when you say recruitment, right, that word is very important. It means that the employer will try to recruit Americans to fill Mr. Patel's job. Okay, and right now, as of today, we have 3.7% unemployment rate across the United States, which is very low. We're at historic lows in unemployment levels. So that means that role is going to be very hard to fill. So what the government will once the employer is able to demonstrate that they did a vast recruitment process, it's a pretty detailed process that the government requires. They'll be able to show that really there's no one in the market to fill that role, or there isn't enough people with the same skill set that Mr. Patel has. And so once you complete the process and show that there wasn't a person in the marketplace, you can then put forth Mr. Patel. But the process takes about 18 to 24 months before you can get something called the I-140 employer immigrant petition approved. So you really need to start early in the process. So that would be path number one.
Okay, and now going forward with EB2 National Interest Waiver. So what are some of the eligibility criteria with the EB2 National Interest Waiver? Some of the requirements on that end.
Okay, so as I mentioned, with the Permanent Labor Certification, it's really based on the employer demonstrating that they couldn't find the right person to fill the role, right? So that's really on the employer's responsibility. Whereas EB2 National Interest Waiver, what we're doing is that we're waiving the requirement to have an employer to offer the job in the first place to get the same results, which is the I-140 immigrant petition, which will lead to a green card. So they will both lead to the same result. With the EB2 National Interest Waiver, the candidate, he or she may have an H-1B already. Maybe they're on their 4th or 5th year. What they can say, what they have to demonstrate to the government is a couple of things. One, either they have that advanced degree like a master's. If they don't have the advanced degree, they will at least have a bachelor's, and then they should consider whether they have at least 5 years of experience in the field that they've been working in, right? So that's a major portion. Does the person have that advanced degree, or do they have a bachelor's plus at least 5 years of experience? Then the next step is, does the person have an endeavor? That's what the law says. Essentially, it's a plan that they want to develop in the United States that will help that will help advance some need in the United States. So the need could be, for example, like if you're an engineer and you figure out a way to reduce the sonic boom of a jet flying from LA to New York. If you design a wing that reduces that sound or that boom, that could be of national interest, because now you can allow planes that are flying at supersonic velocities to fly quietly across the United States. Now that sounds pretty cool, right? But it doesn't have to be that difficult. Maybe this same person has this really great idea for a consulting business where they will help companies establish themselves, maybe foreign companies come establish themselves in the United States, and it's going to help advance some industry. That would be pretty interesting. Or maybe they have some type of technique on how to help let's say nonprofit companies to become more available in the marketplace. So you have to look at what the end result of this endeavor is. Does it help the United States in some form or fashion? Does it help a group of people? Does it help an industry? Does it help a need? A while ago, we were talking to a scientist who had developed some type of a buoy system that would predict if a tsunami was coming, right? And that would be pretty interesting. I'm sure there's other things like that in the marketplace that already exist, but he was developing his own design. So those are the type of things. Is your endeavor of interest to the nation? If yes, then the government will say, we'll waive the requirement to get an offer from a job from an employer, and basically make it more simple for you to get a green card because your presence is of great value to the United States.
Wonderful, Harry. Thank you so much. And it is my understanding that there is a lot of requirements with visas. However, there are also many benefits. So what are some of the advantages and benefits associated with obtaining an employment-based green card?
Okay, well, the H-1B, like other non-immigrant visas, have a limit. So over time, people will learn about H-1B, they'll learn about O1, extraordinary abilities, they'll learn about all these other, the TN for Canadian and Mexican professionals. All of them have a limit. And the limit typically is 3 to 6 years. And once that limit is expired, the person has to return to their home country. So if a person has essentially started building their career in the United States, it's going to be really hard to kind of restart back at their home country. They could, right? They can certainly restart their career that they've begun in the United States back in their home country. But by acquiring a green card, they're ensuring that they can continue their career here for as long as they want. Because by definition, the green card is for permanent residency. So that means you can reside here permanently. There's no time limit. And what's also beautiful about the permanent residency is that it will lead to the right to apply for citizenship. And typically, the way this works is that if you got your green card through employment, you would accumulate 5 years of permanent residency status. And within 90 days of having reached that 5-year period, you can apply to become a citizen. And then now you're really part of the United States, because once that's approved, you can vote, you can run for office, you can leave the country without having to worry about whether you're going to be allowed to be back in. So that's something else that permanent residents need to think about. Permanent residents, once they have this benefit, it's huge, but they have to maintain permanent residency by actually being present in the United States, through at least 6 years or more, per each calendar year. So what's important is that if they leave, if they're out of the country more than 6 months, and then they start demonstrating that maybe they're not really permanently residing in the United States. So I would say, if you're going from H-1B, have permanent residency as part of your goal, but then also have ultimately to become a citizen, so that one day maybe you want to retire and you want to go back home to a different country, right, to your home country, you can, and then come back a few years later and you're still a citizen.
Wonderful, Harry. And I do want to mention as well, one big benefit is immediate family. So candidates can petition for their immediate family as well, correct?
Great, thank you. I'm like thinking all these lofty reasons. Immediate family, totally important. Thanks, Faith. So yes, if you have a spouse, the spouse will get permanent residency. Your children who are under 21 years old will also become permanent residents. And for maybe those professionals who are in their late 30s or 40s and they're on H-1B, they need to start thinking about that, because their kids might be, teenagers, but they'll soon reach 21. So if they want those kids, and if those children are presumed were not born in the United States, they want to become permanent residents with you. So we've had cases, and it happens often, where the children will age out. So then maybe the parents become permanent residents, but the kids cannot. So then, what's the solution for them? Well, they either have to get on F1 student status, or they have to eventually, find their own professional visas. And then, for some parents, they'll feel bad, because then, now their kids feel obligated to marry that girlfriend and boyfriend that the mom and dad didn't like that much, right? So those are the pressures. So ideally, you're, as a parent of these teenagers, you want to help them get permanent residency so they have the same freedoms and benefits that you have.
Wonderful, Harry. And that really leads us to our next question, which is a very important one. It is, why is it so important to work with an experienced immigration attorney throughout your case?
Faith, immigration in the United States, our immigration law is complex. It's been evolving for a long time, since the 1800s and probably earlier. And there's new rules every year. Also the states, each individual states, while they don't have the ability to legislate over immigration law, they could put certain rules that could affect immigrants. So, for example, here in Florida, where I'm located, our governor has put in some pretty strict rules as of July 7th, 2023, that has essentially caused a lot of concern for some immigrants who might be in illegal status. Now, that doesn't affect the folks we're talking to right now, the H-1Bs, right? But it does create some fear. There's a rule that was put into action that if you have any association with certain communist governments, specifically China, Venezuela, etc., that if you have any connection to them, to those countries, you might not be able to buy property in Florida. Now, ultimately, are these laws constitutional? I think they're debatable, right? Because immigration law is really federal matters. But in the meantime, while that gets resolved in the courts, if you're a person from one of these countries, you might feel uncomfortable. So certainly, working on becoming a permanent resident will remove that fear and those concerns. And the two best ways are the EB2 National Interest Waiver for those with advanced degrees, or permanent labor certification through your employer. You have to start thinking about that. You have to move forward so you can advance in your career in the United States.
Here at Logica, we understand that navigating the complexities of immigration and investment, and whether that is talent, work, or even family, it can be very overwhelming. But our team of skilled professionals will be here to help you and guide you throughout the process. So thank you, everyone, for tuning into this discussion today. And we hope you found this information resourceful and helpful to better serve you throughout your immigration experience. So please give Harry and Logica a follow on our social media pages listed in the description below, and give us a like, comment, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell to be updated with our latest immigration information, as there is new information coming out every week. Harry, thank you so much.
Faith, looking forward to our next one. Thank you so much.